Normally, after I do a podcast, I wait a couple days to do the little like intro and outro about it. But I'm just so jazzed that I just have to do the little intro right now because I just interviewed a client of mine, Sean's. We had the group call earlier today. Then he had a business call. I had another client, and then we got on for the pre-record of the podcast. And it's amazing that I think it's only been 6 months that he's been a part of the community, how much more he's in his body, how much more present he is. Literally, he looks younger. There's like a trying to figure it out scowl. Like, what did I do wrong? And it's all her fault or it's all my fault. Like, all of that is like, it's just dissolving. And he's handsomer and he's more confident and he's saying words like ownership and he's forgiving and he's aware that it's a process. And he's showing up in life and he's showing up. He's coming to Costa Rica with our next intimacy retreat. And he's speaking up more and more vulnerably in the group. It's, the work works. Yeah, it was an exquisite conversation of a man, married 20 years, 2 kids, and literally the divorce was blindsided him. And I'm thinking to myself, how can that happen? You know, to be blindsided by somebody that wants to literally end a marriage. Like, didn't you see it coming? Well, we don't see it coming when we're in our head. We feel it coming, but he wasn't in his body. And so now he is. And then when we can feel something's off and we're in our body and we keep our heart open, we can have courage to go, hey, what's going on? I'm sensing something's different. And then the other person feels seen and important, and it builds deeper connection. And now Sean can do that. And he's getting better and better all the time. So let's dive into this incredibly vulnerable and beautiful conversation. Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. Intimacy is an inside job. Hello, delicious people. Welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. We're in season 11, Soul Medicine. And this month, we're talking about loneliness and how to really end blame of others and self and really dissolve any of that depression. And so I thought I would bring on our client, Sean, and have a great conversation with him and really talk about the healing tools that have worked for him. So, hi, handsome. Thank you for being with us. Why don't you tell people where you're from, what you do, how you found me, like why did you sign up for coaching? How did it all happen?
Okay, so I live in the Rochester, New York area, so the western part of the state. I am in technology sales into manufacturing. So that's generally what I do. Yeah. And then in terms of, how did I find you? It really started kind of with a simple Google search. Actually, it was a YouTube search.
Wow.
And I was looking for, I believe it was something around, healing after divorce.
Nice.
And one of your videos popped up and that certainly sent me down the Allana rabbit hole. And I consumed a whole bunch of content, and then I went and bought one of your books on finding the one or becoming the one. Cool. And so I read that, and then so I'm like, well, this resonates with me. Yeah. Part of what you talked about that I liked was, it wasn't just tactics, like say this, do that, wear this thing. It was more about self-improvement and as I said, becoming the one. Yeah. And I said, well, I need more of that. I am going to see what coaching looks like.
I love it.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah. What was it like? You're such a huge contribution to the group. What was it like coming on to a group of strangers and we're all talking about vulnerable shit, like right out of the gate? I'm me. So sometimes I'm a hot mess. Sometimes I'm goofy as shit. Sometimes I go and I process somebody really deeply right in the moment. Like you never really know what's going to happen on a call. What was it like when you first started?
Intimidating at first, for sure. A little nerve wracking. I had been in therapy sessions before, where you're sharing, deep feelings and emotions and concerns. So having those kinds of conversations wasn't scary for me, but doing it in front of 8 or 10 strangers was intimidating for sure. So
Yeah.
thankfully I didn't go first
I
in my
wouldn't
first
go
call.
first. Yeah.
Yeah, so starting to get a sense of what people were doing, what they were sharing, some of the emotions they were showing, certainly made it more comfortable for me to kind of get into that space.
Yeah.
And admittedly, there was another Sean on the call at the time, and so having another male on the call certainly helped to have someone else sharing and dealing with similar male issues.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you guys used to tease each other? The original Sean, or what do you guys call each
Yes,
other?
he was the original Sean, and I was new Sean. Yeah.
What is it like now? It's been several months. What have you learned by risking, by showing up, by, challenging yourself to be vulnerable in front of others? What's changed in you?
I think the outcome has been confidence, more self-confidence. So it's coming to the realization that others are having similar struggles.
Yeah.
While the source of the struggle may be completely different, and the way they're managing it may be completely different than how I'm kind of working through it in my journey, they're still working through their demons, I guess, for the lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And so, like, hey, I'm not alone. There are people that are, feeling traumatized from any variety of different life events that they're working through and struggling just as I am. And so that really brought me comfort, and it brought me confidence, like, hey, this is sadly kind of normal.
Yeah. That's very human.
Right. I think that's probably a better way of saying it. This is a very human experience, and to know that there are others out there,
Yeah.
Has really resulted in me feeling a lot more confident in what I'm going through.
Cool. I want to go into more of remember what Kirby said today on the group call? He was going through a lot of the content, the online content that you get in addition to coming on the group calls. And what did he call me? It was so sweet. Stealth shaman, or is that what it is?
Yes.
Shamanika.
Yeah.
Shamani.
A stealthy soul shaman or something to that effect.
Yeah, it was so sweet. It brought me to tears because I want to, there's something that's very powerful in a private call. There's something that's different, but very powerful in a group call. And there's something different, but very powerful being able to do your own processes at home when nobody's looking and you can just like lose your shit. And that they work, that he has done a lot of work, master's level work. And that this work is very, he goes, it looks like you're just trying to find the one, but really you're awakening our soul. I'm like, yeah,
Right.
That's really what we are doing. And then I said, Sean, how about the Theater of Redemption? And you're like, oh, and I was teasing you.
Right.
You're like, yeah, I did that one. And I'm like, well, if you're still pissed, I don't think you did it enough times. So let's go into blame, like blame of self, blame of others. What have you discovered on this journey about that?
So there's been plenty of blame to go around for sure, deserved or not. Certainly very angry with my ex, very angry at myself, blame, like I should have known, I could have done better, those kinds of things. And as I dug in and realized that some of what made me who I am, it was a result from childhood and the way I was brought up. And so initially there was some anger towards my parents. Like, why didn't you teach me these skills? How come I'm 50 and I'm just learning them now? And so I had some finger pointing towards them, not figuratively, not literally. And so, I've gotten to the point though where none of that is beneficial. That's not blaming, and whether it's pointing the finger at myself or others isn't going to get me where I want to be as a person, as a human. to get me the life experiences I want to have. And so if and this is where it's kind of a work in progress for me, it's remembering that, or taking the perspective that all of this happened to teach me something.
Yeah.
That one of the big benefits for me as a father is being able to break some of those generational chains, so that when my two boys are 50, they aren't pissed at me for not teaching them the life lessons that they wish they had, that I can give it to them now as teenagers, and they can more fully experience and enjoy their life, and be able to manage the human experience.
Yeah. God, you're a great man. Thank you for this. Thank you. I'm very curious. I know they're not home right now, so we can have our private time for our interview, but what has changed? What has the level of listening or diving into topics you normally wouldn't deal with, or sharing, hey, your dad went on a date, or just the way you maybe even speak about their mom, like, I don't know where it would be. What has markedly shifted in your relationship with your boys having started this work?
So so traditional kind of family culture, both for my parents to my upbringing and up till recently, was often we don't feel the feelings, we don't talk about the feelings, and we don't trust the feelings.
Oh,
And so it was always, kind of keep it down,
yeah.
push it under the rug, it'll go away.
Oh, no, it won't.
No, right,
But
right.
okay.
So now, so I now see with my boys, very early on in the separation and the divorce, I would ask them, how are you feeling? And they are teenagers, and I'm fine. I'm fine. And which is not atypical for a teenage boy, but how can there not be some level of pain in there, some kind of trauma that they're working through? So it's continuing to create the opportunities for them to talk to me about what they're feeling. And so I've even kind of tweaked the question, not like, what do you think about? It's what do you feel about?
Look at you.
And making sure that it's a feeling, and not like, because I don't want them to feel like they're in a position where they have to say, I'm pissed at you, or I'm pissed at mom, or I hate this, or I hate that. I want them to, to feel like they have to take sides. I want them to be able to say, I'm feeling really sad, or I'm feeling really mad, or I'm feeling whatever. So like myself, it's a work in progress. They still aren't, the most, I guess I get to the point where they say, Dad, why do you keep asking us this? Which, creates the opportunity to say, why, like, we need to be able to talk about this.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the changes. It'll take them a little longer, I'm sure, but it's trying to also kind of create the opportunities to show them through example, as opposed to direct conversation.
Yeah. I'm very curious about what you answer when they say, why do you keep asking us, how do we feel? Because maybe that's an opportunity for you to say what we're saying here is like, well, I never was told it was okay to feel. And now I'm realizing it's actually really empowering. Maybe not in the beginning to feel sad or mad or scared, but if you're willing to sit with it and have that relationship with your little you get through to the other side with this sense of, well, your word of the year. Do you remember?
Yes, ownership. Yeah.
Ownership. I was like, oh, that's so sexy, Sean. That's so great. Because a man who's willing to take ownership as opposed to justify or give reasons or excuses or deflect or blame or criticize or all the other things one could do, men is willing, which doesn't condone what other people do. It's just our own self, right? I take ownership of me, my feelings, my choices.
Right.
I own it all. I'm better. I do the work. I'm better from it all. Like that's,
there's a distinction that this isn't my own stuff. This is through reading and so forth a number of years ago, between being a victim and acting like a victim and being victimized. So I may have been victimized, but I can no longer live my life as a victim.
Oh, fist pump.
And so, and the other thing that I picked up along the way is this idea of ownership. No one is coming to save me. My parents aren't coming to save me. My ex isn't coming to save me. Some beautiful woman isn't coming to save me. I've got to do the work
Yeah.
to become the one. And so trust
Oh,
me, those are tough times. There are moments where, I just wish someone would walk through the door and make all this bullshit go away. But
yeah.
the reality is it's not. And so I can keep living my life waiting for that person, or I can get off the damn couch and do something about it.
God, you're amazing. Thank you. It took me decades. Well, we're both in our 50s. I'm older than you, but we're both in our 50s and we're finally getting it. Um, tell us, uh, some lonely days in the beginning, maybe before you found this community. Um, what was it really like? Because she initiated it, right? You didn't initiate it.
Correct.
What did that friggin' feel like? It's got to just be excruciating.
Yeah. So certainly, you do feel all alone. I had an amazing group of friends that were super, super supportive. Um, but prior to the divorce, when we were separated,
Mm.
uh, and so we were kind of emotionally, so that we were emotionally separated right as quarantine started in March of 2020. So we were emotionally separated, but not physically separated. We were still living together.
Okay.
So up until the point where she was able to move out, which was about 6 or 7 months later, that was a very, very lonely time because we didn't tell anybody. It was our little secret. The kids didn't know.
Wow.
It was excruciating.
Wow.
Probably some of the hardest times of my life. Um, so kind of moving forward to today, there are moments where, you know, um, I'm the kind of the single one out of the group of friends. Everyone else is, married and stuff. So, there are times they have their family, they're going off and doing their thing, whether as a married couple or with their kids.
Yep.
And if my kids happen to be with their mom that particular weekend, those weekends can be a little lonely. So I'm trying to figure out, what do I do with my time?
Yeah.
How do I get myself out there, as
Yeah.
opposed to, because it's easy to just say, I'm going to watch TV or Netflix or
Yeah. Easy.
HBO or whatever.
Totally. And we both love bourbon. So we could just sit there drinking bourbon, watching Netflix and yeah,
Yeah.
pushing away our feelings and not moving forward. With the tools you've learned, the different processes, like maybe, I don't know, like the little you process, or processing through the anger in a healthy way, like the theater of redemption, or the purification, where you really see the belief that's actually not true. And and shifting that. What are some of the tools that have worked best for you in those weekends without the boys and without the friends? And it's you, me, myself, and I, right?
Right. So, so it's that phrase of becoming the one, right?
Mm.
So how do I continue to become the one? Uh, before I, well, early on, I don't know, maybe it was before I started working with you, I was on the traditional dating apps,
Yep.
and that wasn't a great experience. And so it it's like, all right, that's not the path I want to go down. I want to go
Okay.
down this path of becoming the one, if you will, becoming my whole self, my authentic self.
Yeah.
And so when those weekends come, it really exposes, kind of, am I there yet? Am I my best friend? Do I like being alone? And I'm much better at it today than I was several months ago.
Yes.
I'm not there all the way. There are still moments of pity parties for
Sure.
myself. Uh,
Sure.
but it's like, all right, you still have work to do.
Mm.
I'm not miserable being by myself, but I am home alone. I don't have a lot of opportunities at the moment. What do I need to be doing to become a more whole person
Yeah. Yeah.
and create those opportunities.
Yeah. To fall madly in love with yourself and
Right.
to be whole and love yourself alone just as much as you do in a group of people is a sense of I'm enough, is a sense that my expression matters, is a sense that I'm not being on this planet to get your approval. I'm not being on this planet to not get your rejection. I'm being on this planet to be me.
Right.
To me. Yeah. We were even talking about that the other day. When you were saying you're out with a bunch of your buddies and some of them just more easily start up a conversation and you don't. And there's practice, there's inner practice. I got my own back. Right. And even if I'm rejected out there, I won't reject myself anymore. Like that whole blame thing, it doesn't work. I'm not doing that. I'm going to have compassion, understanding, empathy. You have every right to be scared. How long were you married?
20 years, 21 years.
You're out of practice, 20 years. You try to, I don't know, do something else you haven't done it for 20 years. Nobody's going to be good at it. So, hey, let's just be gentle and patient and be willing to, like a bicycle. You don't just get on it and ride. You fall off a lot of times. And then,
right.
And then it clicks, right?
Right.
Just curiously, I don't even know this about you. What does float your boat? What does turn you on? What does enliven you? How do you fall madly in love with you on those alone weekends? What's fun for you?
Geez, this is a tough question. So certainly a work in progress. I
okay, we all are.
Fitness is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
So I have been regularly working out in the mornings, and that's where my core group of friends come from. So
Nice.
Traditionally, I get to see them most mornings during the week. We often joke that our social lives are usually over by about 8 a.m. Most days because we work out and have coffee and then go and do our day jobs.
That's so great.
Quarantine and COVID and a number of other things haven't been particularly great for my fitness level, but that is still something that I'm pretty well focused on and is a big part of my life. Certainly, traditional sports type stuff. I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan. My oldest son has made me a New York Yankees baseball fan, so we do that. So,
nice.
And I enjoy music. I'm not a musician, but I have kind of rediscovered, just kind of this enjoyment of music. Not anything in particular, but just being able to enjoy music, which I really hadn't since we had kids. A lot of those kind of hobbies and things get pushed to the side because you're so busy raising kids.
Totally.
As I have more time on my hands and they are getting older, obviously, and more independent, I have more time to explore. And embarrassingly, early during COVID, I bought myself a guitar and have literally picked it up 0 times.
It looks good there in the corner, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And my one son that does play, Dad, you ever gonna play that? Yeah, I'm gonna get to it. I'll get to it. So yeah.
Well, you're fucking talking to your coach right now. Now I'm gonna make you do it. What would it take to begin? And could we do it socially? So maybe you could meet somebody doing what you like. Is there such a thing as group guitar classes?
I don't know about, not initially. I think you normally start off, the experience my son had was it was one-on-one until he got good enough to be paired up with a band.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So that's in high school, this music school has a really good, kind of arrangement set up for the kind of the high school kids. And once they get good enough to play, they group them together and they practice as a band. So, and I think they do that with some of the adults as well. So I'm a little ways away from that. I'm probably a couple of years away from being that good.
Okay. So here we go. I'm just going to provide a few healing tools for you and the audience. Do you go out when you have the friends that are around, or do you go out when you're on your own without the kids that weekend? Do you go out to local music halls, bars, events, like where you can hear live music? Do you ever do that?
Not solo, no.
That would be a challenge, wouldn't it? Would that be a challenge?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do it. Okay, that's your challenge. Go out. Go up to the bar. I mean, don't sit at a table for 6 all by yourself. Like go to the bar so you can sit in between some people and just strike up a conversation and just enjoy the music.
Yeah, I could do that.
What's the worst that could happen? Like, let's really face your worst case scenario. What's the worst that could happen?
Well, the worst would be I would just go and enjoy some good music and have a bourbon or two and head home.
Exactly. That's a win. What's the
Right.
best that could happen? Oh no, let's go the middle. Well, the middle. Let's go the middle.
I would meet somebody, whether it's romantic or otherwise. I might meet a new friend.
Right. Yeah. And best case scenario is you start to get really good at this skill you haven't practiced in 20 years because you're freaking married, like going out there and just starting conversations with people. But you're doing it in the vibration and in the world that you love. Right.
Right.
And so that's where you're going to meet people that would enjoy doing that with you too. Or you might even meet a dude and he's like, hey, and he's met you a couple of times now. It's been a couple of months and you see each other. He's, my sister, I'm going to introduce you. Like, we never know. We think, all we have to do is hit on the girl, but you never know whose daughter or sister or friend or whatever, who's checking you out to be sure you're good enough to
acceptable.
Acceptable. Yeah, exactly. What, I'm just going backwards for a second. What do you honestly, and I know you've done a lot of blaming and I'm not asking you to go back there. And I'm sure you've felt sad or depressed from time to time. I'm not asking you to go back there. I'm going to ask you to go back with the eyes of ownership. Since beginning to do this work together, what did you see in your marriage? No shame allowed, no guilt allowed, no judgment allowed. Just, wow, I really see this contributed to that not working. And I'm committed to growing in that area now. What is that?
So I'll start with a little story. So as we were getting closer to finalizing the divorce, my ex said to me, it wasn't a contentious, we weren't fighting and arguing. It was just very, very sad that this was ending. And she said to me, one of the reasons that this divorce is so painful and so difficult to work through is that I was being so nice. In other words, she had initiated this, completely caught me off guard. And I was heartbroken, of course. And so I was the implication being that I was almost being too nice, you were
being too nice.
I was being too nice, and that I almost, I wasn't resisting enough or something. And so as I continued to explore and learn and try to figure out how to heal, and I hadn't met you yet, I did come across some stuff around the idea of being a nice guy. And while that sounds like a compliment, in this context, it's not.
Yes.
It's people pleaser, constantly looking for external validation, very manipulative. And so I read a book on the topic, and I was like, holy shit, whoever wrote this book was a fly in the wall for the last 21 years in my house, because this was me. I was a nice guy. And so, as I've done some of the work and I looked at some of the ownership things that we've talked about, it's like, wait a minute, what do I stand for? What are my values? What's important to me? What should my role have been in the marriage? Not just, kind of the assumed father, but, was I taking the lead role as, kind of the masculine energy and being the leader, the protector, the provider, kind of, and I don't necessarily mean those literally, but kind of figuratively, in more traditional kind of gender energies. And I don't think I brought that to the marriage. So that certainly was a hard pill to swallow.
Oh, sweetie, thank you. Thank you for that. I too was miswired, I'll call it. Instead of validating myself, honoring myself, believing in myself, I was seeking validation. Do you believe in me? Am I enough? Anything to get the outside to like me never even considering to turn it the other way around and start liking myself. And as soon as I did start turning it around, I didn't like what I was feeling. Embarrassed, humiliated, like a loser, insecure. There was a long list. I'm like, hell, I don't like that. Let's be an even better people pleaser.
Right.
And then that was marriage number 2. That didn't go well either. So when it comes to coming home to yourself, we say becoming the one. It's really about, like, when you're a badass and you kick ass in your sales and you're looking good at the gym, like, that's easy to love that, Sean. What's the hardest aspect of Sean, little Sean, that you've had to, and it might still be a work in progress, forgive, get to know, help grow? Is it this nice guy? Helping him reparent your nice guy?
Yeah, certainly, to have some confidence in who I am. Like, I am who I am. I don't need to twist and contort myself into something that, I think makes the other person happy and or like me.
Right.
So, like, being able to speak up and say, hey, I don't agree with that. That's not my view of this. This is what I was thinking, or this is what I hold to be true, or whatever the case is. So to be able to speak my truth, and whether that potentially offends somebody or doesn't, I'm working through some of that.
Wow.
To feel comfortable with, take it or leave it. This is who I am.
Yeah. Thank you. Somebody who knows who they are doesn't need to justify or create excuses, doesn't need to make you believe the same as they do. And they're just sovereign. They're free. They have agency over their own purpose and their light. It's beautiful. And remember how I always talk about the sandwich? If you don't agree with somebody, you just first get in their world. Well, that's an interesting point of view. I can completely appreciate that. Or I can see how that would really mean a lot to you. Like, you acknowledge them first. And then in the center, you can say, and what's true for me is what my heart's truth is, what my soul's wisdom is, what works for me is. You can state that, and then you can put it back in their court again. And what do you think about that? Or how do you feel about that? Just like you're practicing with the boys, right? This way, for me anyways, as a recovering people pleaser, for me to go from saying nothing to like coming out with too much, it's sort of like the pendulum swung the other way. And I was a little like abrupt. But when I actually learned this in Toastmasters. When I learned to put things in a sandwich, it's more palpable. My truth is more digestible for others. And I'm like, well, if they didn't like it and I was still honoring, gracious, understanding of their point of view, and I still spoke up, and they still think I'm batshit crazy, they're probably not my friend. They're probably not somebody I want to date. They're probably not somebody who's in my tribe. And that's okay.
Right.
That's okay.
Right. Yep.
And because I'm not sourcing my worth in their approval of me, because I'm sourcing it from within, it's not comfortable, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I can let them go. I can be alone and not lonely. So,
Right.
So how, I know you haven't done a lot of dating, but you have had a couple dates, haven't you? So
I have a couple. Yeah.
Tell us how it went being you, taking ownership, knowing what you value, speaking your truth, being a good listener, being curious, all the things. How did it go?
So I would think one of the dates that I was on kind of would qualify as trying to bring some of these newfound skills to the table.
Yeah.
Being more mindful about that. So the date went great. It was a great lady, very nice. We had a good conversation. I did take the time though to like, and it was one date, so I didn't want to be completely unfair, but like, is this person for me? Like, kind of look, not that there were, red flags, like there was, she was a massive drug addict or something. It wasn't anything like that, but it was just like, I don't know if that's going to work for me with where I'm at. And so previously I would have been more like, is she pretty? Is she nice?
Right.
Can I talk to her? Can we
Yeah.
have a conversation? Do we agree on a few things? It was more like, all right, is this somebody that I want to spend time with?
Yeah.
And there were a topic or two or an instance or two where I was just like, I don't know if that works for me.
Mm.
And it was just, I guess, refreshing for me that I actually took time to be thoughtful about it, as opposed to, oh, check, got another date done. And it wasn't terrible,
Right.
which may have been my MO previously.
Wow. I really acknowledge you, Sean, because you started very much in your head, trying to figure out what went wrong in the divorce, the marriage and the divorce. And what did you do? Like, what did you do wrong? And how could she, like, you had validated thoughts, but you hadn't integrated all the emotions that kept the thoughts spinning. And you've been doing great work to drop in and feel and integrate and process and have insights and awarenesses and wisdom and capacities. You just, every time you show up on the call, you're just like more, I'll call it embodied. Like you're in your heart, you're in your body, not as much in your head. And we all pop up. I pop up in my head. We all do this. It's just called being human. But we now have a tool. We now have a path. We now know where we're going back home into our body. And what a blessing for her to have someone on a date, you, who was so thoughtful, intentional, conscious. Good for you.
Boom.
Yeah.
I wanted to get past, kind of the standard kind of interview, like how many kids do you have? And, why are you single at, this age? And, all of those standard kind of interview questions. It really needed to be a little more about like, is this person someone that I want to spend time with? Right. And, there was enough there that I felt like, or not enough there to continue.
Yeah, got it. For the viewers and listeners, once you've had the courage to get out on a date and then you're like, oh shit, they're not my person, or there's not enough to continue to explore this. Like the whole putting them down nicely is like, like, how do you do that? The fear, especially a people pleaser, you don't want to offend or disappoint another. How did that go for you?
Good question. So, it was like, it's kind of like your sandwich analogy, like, hey, you're great. I've enjoyed spending time with you. I don't feel like there's a really, great connection here for us, but I wish you the best.
Yeah, that's textbook. Did you read that in the curriculum? Because seriously, did you?
I read that somewhere for sure. Yeah, like I saw a video or something like, all right, if it doesn't go well, how the hell do you get out of it without saying, I don't like you, like,
or ghosting people, which is just so cruel, right?
Right.
But that was brilliant, Sean. That was really good. Yeah,
you're a great person. I just don't think we're right for each other.
Yeah, you don't have that special spark. I'm just not feeling that special spark. I truly am grateful. We've taken the time to get to know each other, and I wish you the best on your journey. Yeah, brilliant.
Well, thank you. It's I owe tons and tons to you. I have come a long way in the last couple of months since we've started working together. So thank you.
It's
from the bottom of my heart.
It's my honor. It's my pleasure. I adore you. I adore you.
Thank you.
Tell me as we complete here. I believe, because once I started coaching, I've never not had a coach. I've never not had 3 or 5 coaches, to be really honest with you, because I can never see my blind spot spiritually, emotionally, businesswoman, mother. Like I just need a lot of help. But then because I value growth, I value their showing me my blind spot so I can be more of me. And as you said, and these ancestral patterns that we inherited, and we all have boys, I have a son, give our boys the best shot in life. And I'm not the cheapest chick on the block. So when you actually just decided to come to Costa Rica, which I'm so excited, because then I get to hug you, we get to play and go ziplining, and then, do the deep work, and to be with this level of conscious community we're just going to levitate. You just have no idea until you're there what it's like to all the people on our call, but to share dinner with them, go for a walk on, the beach with them, to be together. It's it literally is like a non-linear jump, like a quantum leap experience. So I'm so glad you're coming.
I'm excited.
Yes, I am too. But like, how did you, because you can't really rationalize it. I mean, well, you've got kids, college to pay for, you've got, debt, you got the divorce, like it doesn't make financial sense. But when we invest, this is my experience, when we invest in something that's meaningful, we get an ROI, we get a bigger return on investment. We not just get maybe a raise at work, maybe something like that, but like when we look around, physical, mental, spiritual, vocational, financial, parental, our parents and our kids, social, romantic, sexual, all these areas in life improve when we become the one, when we go to the core, the source. But it's very difficult right out of the gate to know that that's going to happen, to feel what that's like, to see the results. So why did you do it? Like, or what would you say to people who are like, I don't know if I want to do this?
So, I was certainly skeptical at first, certainly nervous about making the investment.
Yeah.
But I had been through kind of standard talk therapy before.
Yeah.
I had read all the books. I had watched all the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I was a constant learner.
Yeah.
I would bring in as much information as I could. But my ability to, not my ability, but my lack of execution was a problem. So it was like, I got all this information, I'm doing nothing with it.
Yeah.
I needed something different. I needed someone that would hold me accountable.
Yeah.
And I didn't want just a bunch of tactics.
Yeah.
Like, here, here are a few tactics to help you get through the time until the pain fades. I truly wanted to become a better person.
Yeah.
And that's, that was like, how do you put a price tag on that? I just, like, I can't, as we talked early on, I'm 50. I plan on living to 100. So I'm at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
So I got half my life left. I need it to be the best half.
Yes.
And many of the things that I had been doing in the first half weren't working for me.
Yeah.
And so you came along with a much different message than I had heard, a much different approach. And it was about addressing me and not necessarily some surface level tactics. Yeah. So it was, while scary at first, has been a wise, fruitful investment.
I'm so pleased. Thank you. It is such a privilege and honor to love you and give you what I've learned and walk with you. There's calls when I lose my shit and I'm scared or sad. So I'm very real. I'm always growing and learning with everybody. So thank you. Thank you so much for trusting me and for showing up and doing the work too. You do the work. You might not play the guitar yet, but at least you're showing up for our call.
I'm doing some work, just not that work.
Just not that work. I want to get you on that because eventually you'll be serenading some lovely woman. In conclusion, I'm sure through the eyes of knowing a lot, but not having integrated, I'll call it, embodied the lessons that you're beginning to embody. When you looked at your son's mother, she looked a certain way before we started doing this work. I'm curious, and I know we haven't even worked together, and it's only been, 6 months or something? But when we look through the eyes of the heart, when we look through the eyes of forgiveness, when we look through the eyes of self-ownership, when we look through the eyes of, oh my God, that was a tough pill to swallow, but thank you, because the next 50 years of my life are going to be better because you were willing to say, enough, this needs to change. Has it changed at all when you look at her, think about her, talk to her? Has anything shifted?
Yes. So there are still the more traditional feelings, anger and sadness. But I truly am getting closer to, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting closer to saying, to integrating, to internalizing her spirit was sent to me for a reason.
Yeah.
And while there may be an annoying trait here or there that I no longer have to deal with, which I don't mind, as I'm sure she says the same about me. Um, I'm like, all right, this is for the best. Not only am I going to benefit from it, but my boys are going to benefit from this. And so I'm trying to get to the point where I have gratitude towards her.
Yeah. You're amazing. I was joking with you on the group call today. I think I did no joke. I did the Theater of Redemption 35 times with my son's father, till one night I had a dream that it was our son's wedding, and this song came on that his father and I both liked. I think it was like a Frank Sinatra or something like that song. And we literally danced together to it at like for him. We did like a little production because he's like into theater and I'm into theaters. So he did, and our son was just embarrassed and mortified, but it was a good fucking dance. And like, we literally enjoyed each other, that we created this miracle. And I had never experienced no trigger and gratitude that I am who I am because of what I learned, that he was not in the nicest package at times, but one of my master spiritual teachers for me to wake up should I choose to do the work. So I encourage you, even if you have to do the Theater of Redemption 10 more times, do it, because one day, as with grace, it'll just shower on you out of the, when you least expect it, but all of a sudden the charge won't be there anymore. And it's worth it. The kids will feel it, you'll feel it. And sometimes it even is the energetic, how I always say 210 degrees is water, 11 is water, 212 is boiling, a state change. But this is single, and this is you've met the one. It's just 1 degree away. And sometimes it's that last piece of forgiveness. So there's no resistance or focus on there. You're just totally pure, present, ownership, heart open. Hi, I'm Sean. And there she is. So everything's science, everything's energy. So that's why I believe these processes are so much better than talk therapy, because they're experiential. They go to the subconscious. They go underneath the iceberg. They go down there. Mm-hmm. So that's also your homework. Okay? You got to do something about the guitar, and you got to do the Theater of Redemption. We're not going to tell everybody what that is because it's very politically incorrect. And I'm so grateful because I'm redoing the curriculum to create a whole Become the One for 6 months, and then a whole Find the One for 6 months, integrating the processes that I normally only do with us, in our group coaching program or the inner circle, but be able to provide it for more people in the world. So it's a good reminder. Just don't give up, Allana. Keep going, keep creating, keep serving, keep contributing.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. So in conclusion, like we do at the end of every call, what did you value most about us connecting today?
It was certainly great to kind of share my story with you in a one-on-one format. So thank you very much. And it's in preparation for this, there was a good exercise to be thoughtful about where I'm at, where I came from, how much more work I still have to do, but like, all right, what have I accomplished? And so the preparation for the conversation was probably the biggest gift.
Oh, I'm so glad. Good. And that says a lot to all of us, as we want these calls to be also about the healing tools that work, that if we don't slow down and really look at how far we've come and really acknowledge ourselves, then this sense of self, this sense of wholeness, this sense of confidence from the inside out, we just keep seeking it on the outside. The girl, the money, the accomplishments, it never happens. But if we slow down and go, wow, I am growing, I am evolving, I am more me, I am a better version of me, I am becoming the one, which I don't even think we ever really get there because we keep growing and new experiences. But I'm glad that this allowed you to feel even more whole inside.
Yeah. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. So viewers and listeners, isn't he amazing? So all you single ladies in Rochester, just say it. Call me because I'll set you up. And I also want I'm sure there's many things that Sean has said that was like, oh, that's me. So if any of these healing tools spoke to you, please, when this recording is over, sit down, get out your journal, go for a walk, like take the time that he just said to slow down and feel and get out of the head and into your heart, get into your soul, get into your hips, and really feel what's true for you, because that's the only way we integrate things. We can't think our way into higher coherence. We can only feel our way. And that's science. That's pure science, heart math science. Feeling really is the way. And if I can be of contribution to you, of service to you, and you're like, maybe this crazy lady's not so bad. Maybe this community would be exactly the soul family that I've been looking for my whole life. I invite you to connect with me. Simply go to allanapratt.com/connect, and we will connect. All right. I love you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I love you. I'll
Thank
see you
you.
next
Love
week on
you
our
too.
group call, Sean. Thank you. Have a beautiful
you.
weekend.
Yes.
So
You
stay
too.
here. I'll say officially goodbye to you when I press stop, but I'll say goodbye to the rest of you. We love you so much. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life. I'm on my way to the dentist, and I like that in my little small town that I have the best acupuncture, the best cranial sacral, the best dentist. Here we go. Wasn't that an amazing interview podcast with my incredible client, Sean? Ladies in the Rochester area, the dude is single, I'm just saying. Okay, there's so much snow. Look how much snow there is. There's like nowhere to park because all the snow is in the parking spots. Okay. What I really appreciated about his honesty in this podcast was when I said, what was the biggest lesson you learned from your marriage that you are now applying? I'm gonna park into a snowbank. Okay. Yes. Beep, beep. I know. He said because he was too nice. She said he was too nice. He was the nice guy. Oh my God. How many of us are the nice guy and the nice gal? How many of us are people pleasers? How many of us say yes when we mean no? How many of us are terrified of rejection and just do anything we can to just not get hurt again, right? So I so get it. And yet how brave and wonderful that he's willing to acknowledge, take ownership, but let go of the self-criticism or self-blame. That, okay, he had some balls to grow, masculinity to embody, the ability to speak his truth, even take the time to know his truth or discover what are his core values that make him want to be on the planet, like his purpose. All of that, we can just coast. We can just settle. We can just be like half-ass and half-ass blindsided him with a divorce. So bravo to that amazing man. And to all of us who are willing to go, okay, where am I just going along with the ride because I don't want to make anybody upset or rock the boat, when all along we need to develop that inner sense of resolve, that inner sense of that ability to speak our truth. And it's okay if we don't, we can agree to disagree. We don't always have to be right or win. That's so 3D. We're growing people. We are growing in consciousness from 3D. I'm right, you're wrong, and I win and you lose, and I'm superior and you're inferior. Like, fuck that. We're done. It's now 5D or above. And it's about what is the win-win situation? How can we both be unapologetically who we are, splay our hearts wide open to one another, even in the face of uncertainty, even in the face of disagreeing, even in the face of like, oh, I just stepped on your toe, figuratively or symbolically, or whatever I'm trying to say, you know what I'm trying to say? And say, I'm sorry, without a fucking justification. Just, I'm sorry. How can I make up for the damage done? Right? You don't always have to be right in order to feel safe. But if we haven't cultivated that safety on the inside, we will always be manipulating our circumstances and manipulating people to try to have a fake sense of safety, which only pushes away love, intimacy, and connection. Okay, well, that was super great. So I can't say go follow Sean on Instagram because he's not like a thing like that. But definitely let me know, girls, if you're interested, and I'll connect you. And definitely allow me to support you in all the different ways. Go to my site, allanapratt.com, and let us love the shit out of you.